There, that tray's out. Little. It's a rivet nut. Not sure what it's for, but there's a rivet nut on the side, which is just it's a nut covered in plastic. I'm assuming that's for this. Yeah, that's what that's for. So, original part number 00278HA. Get this out without breaking it. All right. This is just surprisingly very thin plastic. I have to figure out how to fix those holes. This is cracked right here. This is gonna have to get welded, plastic welded. It's cracked over here. This will have to get plastic welded. But I'm grateful it's still in one piece. Makes it a lot easier to weld. Alright, next up, drill that out. Maybe it's usable. Alright, there's the gator ring. You see the old stitching that'd be there and there, and this guy on YouTube, Chefalo, has a whole video on how to sew those, so that's going to come in real handy. This is the piece that's hanging by a thread here and here. Go easy on it. If it breaks, it breaks. Not a big deal. Fix it. There's 50% of the piano hinge. All the hardware is removed from this. Again, there's no visible stitching anywhere on this. So this piece will get stripped down, cleaned up, sanded, and then it'll get some medical attention. Some welding, plastic welding here and here. And anywhere else it needs it. I think it's okay elsewhere, just right here and here. So the only stitching on this whole thing is the gaiter and here. And I'm not sure when I put it back if I'm going to put stitching on this. I know I was initially thinking of doing it black or yellow with black stitching, or black with yellow stitching, and I might still do that. But right now, I'm thinking it's just there'll be no stitching, and it'll just be a nice flattened piece of leather. Yeah. Someone had to have banged this. Look at this, how it wants to come apart. That's a crack right there to there. So this is gonna need plastic welding, obviously. what the center console arm pad looks like. It's a piece of plastic sandwich or some glue strips put down with another piece on it, and then some leather over the top. So I gotta see if I can treat this with heat to get it to straighten up. I don't want it curved like that. It's really flimsy. Ah, sweet. That's the original center console arm. Hopefully it's you. There's a pretty thick washer on the other side of it. All right, the last piece is to drill these out. So I stripped most of the material off the center armrest console, and I was going to take it outside and sand it, but before I do, I want to fix that crack right there and that crack right there, and I'm going to use my welding tool to do that. I think these two spots are the only places damaged, but I'll know better when I sand the whole thing down and get it cleaned up. It gets hot pretty quick. I use a grinding wheel and just run it over this to get that all smoothed out, but much stronger than it was, that's for sure. All right, so the game plan is to adhere this just to the top for now on these lines, which is why I've used the grease marker to indicate where the glue should be laid on the fabric. Once that sets up, then I can start pulling it taut along the sides towards the front. But I think this is going to have to be done in stages. So working on the center console armrest, and I screwed up right here when I was cutting relief slots. I cut this one way too short, so I had to really stretch the material to wrap it around, and as you can see, it's causing that sort of crease. And this has to get cut open and the material has to be pulled, but there's no way I could pull it enough to fix this crease. So I think it means I have to rip this off and start over again. I'm not happy about that because I was really happy with the way it was coming out. One small mistake ruins the entire thing. Oh well. Okay, so here's what I thought was going to be the finished piece. I got these little ripples. You heat those with a heat gun and pull them out. But I'm really happy with the way this came out. It's probably about as good as I could have hoped it to come out, which makes it all the more disappointing that I have to do it over. Because when I stretch the material down in here, I cut these relief marks, thinking that, so I cut those relief marks because I thought that this panel goes inside. It doesn't. It goes underneath. This sits on top of it, like that, which means these are exposed, which means I screwed it up and I have to pull all this material off. and redo it. So yeah, not real happy about that. Oh well, back to the drawing board. There we go. There we go. That's too bad. All right, I just finished redoing this center armrest console, and this time you can see I didn't make the mistake of cutting these slits out. These bumps you see, these are the metal tacks, hold the little cup insert in. Got my cut and painted, or cut and polished hinge set to go. That'll get mounted to that. This goes underneath, but you can see I put some epoxy down to cover the holes that were here. And once that's thoroughly dried, I will spray paint it black to make it look more uniform. Then that gets mounted. That gets mounted to the underside. These little pins go into each hole like that. Yeah, it's coming together. For the center console, I've cleaned that up. I've sewed some raised diamonds just to give it an embellishment, and it's a bigger piece than the center console itself. So what I'm going to do is stitch strip here and here, so that the embellishment will just be in the center, like that. That's what I'm going to try. So what you have to be aware of is when you cut a stitch, it becomes loose and it could unwind. So you run a stitch over it like I did twice to, in theory, lock it down. Same thing here, and then as a as a safeguard, you can take a dab of glue. Take a little dab of glue and just put it on those spots so that they don't come undone. I think that's what we're gonna do, because I just cut through that one, so I'm gonna cut through this one too. So that'll get glued, that'll get glued. Might as well do the four corners. All right, the mistake I'm making is I'm using this edge. I can't use that edge because it's not straight. This is gonna get folded over and sewn like that. But it's gotta be at this intersection right here. Here's to the real thing. I didn't adjust the stitch. Damn it. All right. Now we do it for real. Now we do it for real. So that's what the blind stitch does. Look at that. Sweet. Now the other side. kind of see how it's going to look when it's all said and done. Yeah. Armrest. Not bad. Okay, mostly done with this. Hinges on, cover closes. I love the design. I'm not, well, super thrilled with when you extend it right there, the base of this is making contact with the back side of this. And I thought that was a problem initially. I thought it was because my material was too thick and it was coming into contact, which it is. But there's a tether in here anyway. That's supposed to prevent it from going any higher than that. Not sure why Lotus did that. That's kind of strange. I have one half of the tether in. I gotta get a little plastic nut for the bottom piece. Top down, it opens. Again, there's that, this tether has to clip into the side, and then you can't really open it beyond that anyway, which is, again, weird. Not sure why Lotus did that. Maybe for that very reason, is that the design makes it come into contact. This new hinge gets hidden, so when I redo this, it'll look like that. Yeah, so I still have to do the shift gaiter. I'll wire wheel this up, spray paint it, clean it up nice, and there's a video on YouTube showing how to sew a shift gaiter. Give that a shot. It'll have 4 French seams on it, which will make it look nice, especially with this type of, well, yeah, I will be using this. So not this pattern, but I will be using this thread for the French seam. So I think it'll look really good. I broke this. See how it's moving around? I broke the end of it off there. I'm going to see if I can order another one of these. Oh well, you know, 30 years old and it's been open to the elements, and I'm fortunate that that's the only thing that's broken so far. Again, here's that tether that needs to be locked in down there. And then here's the epoxy that I painted. I had 2 large holes right here. I filled them with a plastic weld epoxy and then spray painted over it. And it's obviously very noticeable, but not terribly worried about it. Yeah, so this, I'm happy with the way it came out. It's, you know, I'm getting there. I'm learning. There you go. There's that tether, rivets in the back. All in all, compared to what it looked like when I got it, that's quite the improvement. This is the old Lotus top that was on there. And it just had those 2 stitches going across it, which I wasn't a fan of, and I wanted to do something a little more embellishment. And so I sewed this diamond pattern. It came out pretty good. Here is what's left of the old hinge. So this hinge replaced this hinge. I got this hinge off Amazon, 2 of them. It was like 20 bucks at the most. They were both, what, 14 inches long, 12 inches long a foot. Cut it down to the proper size, drill the holes in the proper locations, and then polished it with my the Dremel so it's nice and shiny. Lotus did something very similar with their hinge. They took a piano hinge like this one and they cut it, and then they utilized or reused 2 two of the holes, I think these two out here, and these two weren't used, and they had to drill them in there. So same sort of setup. I've got an extra hole right there. That's because the piano hinge that came with it doesn't quite have the same spacing. Here's the switch. I got to put the switch in still for the fuel. I'd like to clean the switch up with a Dremel and a buffing blade just to get those nice and white. As I said before, it makes a clicking noise, which just means it may not be mechanically broken, but I'm going to hook some wires up to it and just confirm I can pass voltage through when I click the switch in both directions. If I can, it's good, it can be reused. Okay, on to the costs. Coming in, I was at $5,301.03. The armrest center console recover effort, I paid $6.38 for the hinge, the glue, the washers, the rivets, the epoxy weld. It came to $3.68. For the foam, I used the calculation I used last time with the new dimensions of 20 inches by 34 inches equals 680 square inches times the 0.007760 cents per square inch came to $5.27 times 2 because I'm still doing things over. Came to $10.55. Onto the leather, same quantities as the foam. I just multiplied the leather times the cost of $2.98 per square inch, and that gives me a total of $40.51, which brings the total armrest console recover cost to a total of $51.06, and that brings the project total to a total dollar amount of $5,352.09. That's it for this time. Thanks for following along, and I'll see you next time.